Hey there, I'm the Metal Jesus, and today I'm back to talk about something that I think a lot of game collectors think about, and that is how do you catalog your game collection? And there's a bunch of different options out there, whether it's a website or whether it's an app. And what I did was I signed up for a bunch of these and uploaded a variety of games to them to kind of test them out and bring to you sort of my pros and cons for each of them. This is going to be a really cool video. Let's take a look. So the first site I want to talk about is rfgeneration.com, which is a pretty impressive site because they have a database with over 74,000 entries to choose from. And they have over 130,000 images to go along with that. It's pretty impressive. Now, the thing I like about the site is that it focuses like a laser on one thing, and that is basically a collection tool to help keep track of your video games and your hardware. And that's kind of what they do. And they focus, like I said, like a laser on it, and it shows. In addition to that, they have a really big community of other gamers and collectors. So for instance, there's gamer and collecting blogs that are sort of built into it. Also, there's a really popular submission system where members can contribute missing items and just basically help the site grow. I also like how when you add a game to your collection, you can specify whether you have the original box and manual for the game. So it allows you as a game collector to be very specific, which is kind of handy if you're looking for, a complete collection of something. Also, it allows you to denote whether you have multiple copies of a game. That can be pretty useful if you like doing trades or selling off your extra stock. Also, in my testing, it seems like they have a pretty complete collection of the really rare and unusual games. It pretty much found everything that I threw at it, including Japanese imports and indie games and all that sort of stuff. So it really feels like it's probably the biggest database of any of these sites that I'm going to show you. Now, the downside is it's not exactly the most attractive tool that you can find, but again, if that's not really your thing, then this might be perfect for you. Next up is a pretty impressive site called collectors.com or collectorz.com. And it's really impressive because they provide a bunch of different solutions depending on what you need. So there is actually a desktop app that you can buy, or there's an online or mobile version. And what I really like about this, it's not specific to just video games. This is for people who also collect movies, books, music, and even comic books, and want to have that all in one area. Right off the bat, you should be able to tell this is a pretty polished looking site. It's also really, really easy to use. I was actually very impressed with it. Some other stuff here too is that they have built-in tools to integrate with Twitter and Facebook, and it also has options to track whether you've completed the game or not. A nice little surprise with this site are the inclusion of statistics. So you can look at graphs or pie charts showing what games you own by platform or genre. And as a nice little bonus, it'll actually break out to show you which developers or publishers you seem to gravitate towards. So for me here, you see it's actually Sierra, at least in this small little slice of games that I uploaded to the site. After using the trial version of the site, I came away pretty impressed. I mean, this site it's pretty easy to use, it looks fantastic, and it found most of the games that I threw at it, which is important for a big collector like me, right? You want it to find all the Japanese imports and things like that. So actually, I really like it quite a bit. I think the only negative most people will have with it is that it does cost money. So it's $24 a year for the online version, and then if you want the optional Windows app or the iOS app, you have to pay for those as well. But, that's a reasonable thing to request, especially if they keep it updated and it's easy to use and it continues to grow. Backloggery.com, I just love the name of that, started as a site to track and reward gamers to play through their massive collection of unplayed games. I love that idea because, as you know, when you're a big game collector, you always have games just sort of sitting there staring at you going, why don't you play me? Well, this site was designed to help you do that. Over time, the site has organically moved into something much larger than that, which basically allows you to catalog all your games whether you've played them or not. At first I was kind of confused because the site allows you to type in anything. It doesn't actually run a search on a database as far as I can tell. And so I accidentally added a Sega CD or Sega 32X game in here. And I was like, what? Why didn't it correct that? And it was just sort of kind of weird at first. I was like, oh, I can really put anything I want in here and track it, which is actually pretty cool if you play a lot of small indie games or rare imports. Now, it would be hard for me to recommend this over the first two sites, but I do think it's got a bit of charm to it, and it seems to be free, so if you're interested, check it out. VGCollect.com is another site I checked out, and honestly, it's a really nice looking site with a bunch of great features. There's a strong emphasis on the gaming community for this site. So for instance, when you first log in, you have this feed that you see, which basically shows the latest threads that are going on in the forums, as well as anybody that you're following, whether they're selling games or whether they added games to their collection. It's actually pretty cool. However, I initially had problems searching for what I felt were pretty common games to try to add them to my collection. For instance, I have this Batman the Brave and the Bold here, but for whatever reason, it could not find it when I searched for it. Same with the 24 game. I was like, what? Why is it not able to find this? Well, it turns out it's because there is a colon in the title, and it couldn't find that because I didn't include the colon for some reason. So that's kind of a bit annoying, and you know, it's not going to affect every game you try to add, but it'd be nice if they could fix that. Also, it appears to solely rely on Amazon for the search results for the games you're trying to add, which means that there's going to be a lot of, like, say, old PC games and a little bit more probably obscure Japanese imports that it won't find. However, it seems to have a pretty active and passionate online forum with almost 10,000 members sharing information, so I like this site quite a bit. Next up is an iOS app that's been getting a lot of attention lately because it's free. It's called Game Vault, and you see me using it here on my new iPhone 5S. My initial impressions with this app were pretty positive. It seems like it was really well designed. It feels like a nice little iOS app, but then it kept crashing, and I don't know why. I mean, I couldn't use this thing for more than 15 minutes. It was really disappointing. It seemed like every time I tried to add a Virtual Boy game, it bombed out. Now, when I did get the app to run for more than 15 minutes, I thought it was an okay app. I mean, the thing is though, I don't know if I would want to manually add my game collection one by one through my phone. Honestly, typing is kind of a pain, and I just think that would take forever. So it feels like this is almost designed for people who have maybe smaller game collections, or maybe there's a website you could go to and add them there and then they would sync up to the app. Either way, I hope they fix the bugs. And finally, we get to the app that I have been using for a couple years now, and that is called Delicious Library. This is version 3 here. Now, I get a lot of questions about this software, especially whenever I show it in my videos. The thing is, unfortunately, it only runs on Mac. It's only OS 10. So sorry, Windows users. However, if you do have a Mac, it's pretty awesome software. It's very slick and shiny, has a bunch of bells and whistles. Also, it's not just for video games. You can pretty much put whatever you want in here. It's pre-built to handle video games, but also music, books, movies, toys, and so much more. A neat feature about this is its built-in ability to scan barcodes. So if you have a game that is relatively new, you simply just hold it up to the iSight camera and it'll scan it in, and it gets all its information from Amazon.com. Now, that might be a bit of a red flag for people, but one of the nice things is that you can switch regions. So for instance, if you have a Japanese game, you can switch to the Japanese version of the Amazon store and it'll probably find it. Also, this software will allow you to publish out to the web and any site that you happen to own. So for instance, if you have a DreamHost account, you can literally, with one push of a button, push it out to that, and it FTPs to that site and builds out all these HTML pages. So really handy. I like it a lot. All right, guys, well, that's a quick look at some of the sites and apps you can use to catalog your game collection. Now, obviously, I choose to use Delicious Library. I've been using it for years, But I gotta be honest with you, if I was to start completely over today, I probably would switch over to collectors.com, even though there's a cost associated with it, because honestly, I think it's probably worth it. And it's something that when you're a big collector like me, you're gonna use it every day anyways, so it's usually worth the price. Also, ease of use is really big to me, as well as aesthetics. I mean, I like a site that looks really nice, so that's just what I would do. So, but I'd love to know what you guys use down in the comments below. Obviously, I couldn't spend months uploading my entire collection to each of these sites. So I'd love to know if you guys are using one of these. What do you think? What are the pros and cons to you? Also, there is a last option that I think a lot of people do, and that is spreadsheets on your computer. Most people have Excel or numbers on a Mac, and you can do this without any cost at all, but you'd have to build it from scratch. And so I'd love to know if you guys are doing that as well. And if you're feeling generous, maybe you could share out your file to some people that are starting off from scratch. So anyways, thanks very much for watching this video. Let me know what you think and talk to you later. Bye-bye. Now, if you like this, you want to see more, well, I post a new video every week, so go ahead and subscribe. Thanks for watching.